Hello folks, welcome to the Tactical Dad podcast. I'm your host Matthew Cook and I am the Tactical Dad. So we're learning more stuff here about optics, red dot sights, scopes, all of that good stuff. We talked in our last episode about an element of a sight or scope, whatever you want to call it. And now we're going to talk about another one, which is MOA. If you've looked at any scopes, any sights, you will any of the specifications of those types of products, you'll see what comes up quite often and in many places is MOA. And if you're anything like I was early on, it was like, what does that mean? What does that stand for? And then when you find out what the abbreviation is, you're like, all right, well, what the heck is that? So it's complex if you don't know, just like anything. But once you learn it, it makes much more sense, obviously. So MOA stands for minute of angle, and it is a unit of measurement used in optics for guns to describe the size of the dot or reticle in the scope, or the size of the group of shots fired from the gun, from the firearm. 1 MOA is equal to 1/60th of a degree, or about 1 inch at 100 yards, 1.047 inches at 110 yards, 2 inches at 200 yards, etc. So in gun optics, MOA is often used to describe the adjustment made to the scope's reticle to account for bullet drop and windage. So if your scope has a reticle with 1 MOA, 1 minute of angle markings, then moving the reticle 1 mark to the right or left will move the point of impact of the bullet approximately 1 inch at 100 yards. Some scopes have MOA adjustments that allow the user to fine-tune the point of impact by turning a knob or making some sort of other technical adjustment. But they're all so different that you have to see what it's got when you're looking at them, and they're all different. They're all priced differently and all sorts. It's quite the world. That's why there's so many companies that just specialize in optics. Like, I get it. It's intense. So MOA is just one of several units of measurements that can be used in gun optics. Others include mils, milliridians, which is similar to MOA but is based on metric units instead of imperial units. It's important for you as the shooter, as the person that's going to use the optic, to understand the units of measurement used in the optics, so you can make the necessary adjustments. So I came across some optics that, and even ours is the same. Now I understand it, that it's fine for us to have it. But at first I came across some red dot sights that had 3-4 MOA, and I was like, what the heck is that? So optics with 3 to 4 MOA dot or reticle size refer to the size of the dot or reticle in the optic at 100 yards, which I just said, so we know that. A 3 MOA dot or reticle will cover approximately 3 inches at 100 yards, while a 4 MOA dot reticle will cover approximately 4 inches. So it's going to be between 3 and 4 inches. That's what that means. The size of the dot or reticle is an optic. In an optic is a personal preference and can depend on the intended use and your shooting style, which I don't really think I've got a shooting style yet. I'm sure I'll develop one. But right now I'm just like learning what these things are and using them, and I'll adapt the more I do this, because I'll start to build preferences and I'll start to like some things versus others. Like, I don't like in the waistband gun holsters. I think they suck. So uncomfortable and so awkward. And I've tried a few, I'm yet to find one that I like. So my opinion on that right now is that they suck. But so I'm sure I'll get the same with scopes as well. But that is what MOA stands for. It is the minute of angle, and it's a unit of measurement used to describe the size of the dot or reticle, because not all of them are dots. as we discussed in another podcast. But it's the size of the dot or the reticle in the scope or the size of the group of shots fired from the firearm. And 1 MOA is equal to 1/60th of a degree, or about 1 inch at 100 yards, so on and so on. So that is MOA. It stands for minute of angle. Thanks for joining me. We will discuss more elements of optics. That's just one. See you again next time.